We are paid, that's all. We are God.
Hey guys, this is Naruto and Percy Jackson crossover. The part 7 of What If Naruto Was a Demigod. Naruto finds out a secert that blows him away. He's a half-blood. With his new friends he make a new name for himself and find what he truly ever wanted. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe and check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 21, Battlefield Set. Ready? Fight. A Coast Guard boat picked up the 4 kids, but they were too busy to keep them for long, or to wonder how 4 kids in street clothes had gotten out into the middle of the bay. Their radios were jammed with distress calls from everything that was happening in the city. They dropped the 4 off at the Santa Monica Pier with towels around their shoulders and water bottles that said "I'm a junior Coast Guard," and sped off to save more people. Their clothes were sopping wet, even Percy's. Percy had no shoes because he gave them to Grover, hoping no one saw the goat boy's hooves. After reaching dry land, they stumbled down the beach, watching the city burn against a beautiful. Percy was straining with the heavy bolt in his backpack, but Naruto saw the sad look on the boy's face. The blonde put a comforting hand on the boy's shoulder. "I don't believe it," Annabeth said. "We went all that way. It was a trick," Percy said. "A strategy worthy of Athena." "Hey," she warned. "You get it, don't you?" She dropped her eyes, her anger fading. "Yeah. I get it." "Well, I don't," Grover complained. "Would somebody?" "Percy," Annabeth said. "I'm sorry about your mother." "I'm so sorry." Percy tried to ignore her, not wanting to think about that. "The prophecy was right," Percy said. "You shall go west and face the god who has turned. You may believe in some stupid prophecy, but I got a bone to pick with a certain biker." They turned and saw who he was looking for, right Ares? There he was, waiting for us, in his black leather duster and his sunglasses, an aluminum baseball bat propped on his shoulder. His motorcycle rumbled beside him, its headlight turning the sand red. "Hey, kid," Ares said, seeming genuinely pleased to see them. "You were supposed to die." "Been there, done that," Naruto muttered. "Was boring as hell, so I came back for a bit." "You tricked me," Percy said. "You stole the helm and the master bolt." Ares grinned. "Well, now, I didn't steal them personally. Gods taking each other's symbols of power, that's a big no-no. But you're not the only hero in the world who can run errands." "Who did you use?" "Clarice. She was there at the winter solstice." Percy asked. "Yeah, right. Having one of his kids do it would place the blame on him like it was to you, Perk," Naruto said with narrowed eyes. "He got some other dog to do it." The idea seemed to amuse Ares. "Doesn't matter. The point is, kid, you're impeding the war effort. See, you've got to die in the underworld. Then old Seaweed will be mad at Hades for killing you. Corpse Breath will have Zeus's master bolt, so Zeus will be mad at him. And Hades is still looking for this." From his pocket he took out a ski cap, the kind bank robbers wear, and placed it between the handlebars of his bike. Immediately, the cap transformed into an elaborate bronze war helmet. Naruto was shocked before he growled out, seeing as they were still being played for fools. "The Helm of Darkness," Grover gasped. "Exactly," Ares said. "Now where was I? Oh yeah, Hades will be mad at both Zeus and Poseidon, because he doesn't know who took this. Pretty soon, we got a nice little 3-way slugfest going. But they're your family." Annabeth protested. Ares shrugged. "Best kind of war. Always the bloodiest. Nothing like watching your relatives fight, I always say." "You gave me the backpack in Denver," Percy said. "The master bolt was in there the whole time." "Yes and no," Ares said. "It's probably too complicated for your little mortal brain to follow, but the backpack is the master bolt's sheath, just morphed a bit. The bolt is connected to it, sort of like that sword you got, kid. It always returns to your pocket, right?" Naruto looked at the pack. It was right under their noses and they could not see it. He should have known when Percy got the backpack again after they left the hotel. "Anyway," Ares continued, "I tinkered with the magic a bit, so the bolt would only return to the sheath once you reached the underworld. You get close to Hades. Bingo, you got mail. If you died along the way, no loss. I still had the weapon. But why not just keep the master bolt for yourself? Percy said. Why send it to Hades? Yeah. Naruto laughed. Biggest toy that was made for war. That's like water to a fish. Ares got a twitch in his jaw. For a moment it was almost as if he were listening to another voice, deep inside his head. Why didn't I? Yeah. With that kind of firepower. He held the trance for 1 second, 2 seconds. Percy exchanged nervous looks with Annabeth while Naruto narrowed his eyes in recognition. Something was not right here. Ares's face cleared. I didn't want the trouble. Better to have you caught red-handed, holding the thing. Sending it to Hades wasn't your idea, was it? Naruto asked. It might be used to start the biggest war in your wet dreams, but you are too greedy to even think of the idea. Of course it was. Smoke drifted up from his sunglasses, as if they were about to catch fire. You didn't order the theft, Percy guessed. Someone else sent a hero to steal the 2 items. Then, when Zeus sent you to hunt him down, you caught the thief. But you didn't turn him over to Zeus. Something convinced you to let him go. You kept the items until another hero could come along and complete the delivery. That thing in the pit is ordering you around. I am the god of war. I take orders from no one. I don't have dreams. Naruto's eyebrow rose and he smirked. Get them mad and they spill without even noticing. We said nothing about dreams, did we guys? The others smirked seeing they had caught Ares. Ares looked agitated, but he tried to cover it with a smirk. Let's get back to the problem at hand, kids. You're alive. I can't have you taking that bolt to Olympus. You just might get those hard-headed idiots to listen to the 2 of you. So I've got to kill you. Nothing personal. He snapped his fingers. The sand exploded at his feet and out charged a wild boar, even larger and uglier than the one whose head hung above the door of cabin 7 at Camp Half-Blood. The beast pawed the sand, glaring at them with beady eyes as it lowered its razor-sharp tusks and waited for the command to kill. Fight me yourself, Ares. Percy said as he stepped out into the water. Naruto smirked, hey, don't count me out of this. Ares laughed, but Percy heard a little edge to his laughter, an uneasiness. You're not your ninja friend, brat. You only got one talent, running away. You ran from the Chimera. You ran from the underworld. You don't have what it takes. Naruto snorted, we aren't the one hiding behind their little pet. Percy smirked, scared. In your adolescent dreams. But his sunglasses were starting to melt from the heat of his eyes. No direct involvement. Sorry, kid. You're not at my level. Annabeth said, Percy, Naruto, run. The giant boar charged. Percy and Naruto glared at the beast ready for it. Percy was done running and now he was ready to fight. They sidestepped the beast as they summoned their swords. A flash of metal and they severed the beast's tusks. The disoriented pig charged into the sea. Percy shouted, wave. Immediately, a wave surged up from nowhere and engulfed the boar, wrapping around it like a blanket. The beast squealed once in terror. Then it was gone, swallowed by the sea. Naruto blinked from his crouch position with his arms still wide spread from his slash at what happened. Okay, didn't see that coming. Are you going to fight us now? Percy asked as he turned to Ares. Or are you going to hide behind another pet? Ares's face was purple with rage. Watch it, kid. I could turn you into a cockroach, Percy said. Or a tapeworm. Yeah, I'm sure. That'd save you from getting your godly hide whipped, wouldn't it? Flames danced along the top of his glasses. Oh, man, you are really asking to be smashed into a grease spot. If we lose, turn us into anything you want. Take the bolt. If we win, the helm and the bolt are ours and you have to go away. Percy offered, looking at his partner. Naruto grinned, he was fighting with his friend and nothing was going to stop him. Ares sneered. He swung the baseball bat off his shoulder. How would you like to get smashed, classic or modern? Naruto snorted, we already have our weapons ready. Both boys held their weapons up to Ares. That's cool, dead boys, he said. Classic it is. The baseball bat changed into a huge, two-handed sword. The hilt was a large silver skull with a ruby in its mouth. Percy, Naruto, Annabeth said. Don't do this. He's a god. He's a coward, Percy told her. Naruto looked at her, he is the reason behind this mess. God or no god, we are not backing down. There is too much riding on this. Annabeth still looked nervous at that, so she walked up to Percy and put her necklace on him. Wear this, at least. For luck. The necklace had 5 years worth of year-round camp half-blood in it. Reconciliation, she said. Athena and Poseidon together. Naruto smirked, we got this, Annabeth, the moon and tide working as one here. She nodded, yes, Athena, Poseidon, and Artemis and everyone else together, nothing can go wrong. Annabeth said with conviction. And take this, Grover said. He handed Percy a flattened tin can that he'd probably been saving in his pocket for 1,000 miles. He gave Naruto his reed pipes for the moment. The satyrs stand behind you. The boys looked grateful at the satyr. Naruto knew this team was with him and he would not lose. You all done saying goodbye? Asked an annoyed Ares, tired of all this sappy emotions. Ares came toward the two, his black leather duster trailing behind him, his sword glinting like fire in the sunrise. I've been fighting for eternity, kids. My strength is unlimited and I cannot die. What have you got? Blah, 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 Naruto cried out. I thought you are the god of war, not the god of pointless gloating. If you are going to talk, at least make it a banter. Ares growled before he charged. The boys dove to the side as Ares' huge blade came down where they used to be. Percy used the water to increase his movements and launched himself at Ares. But Ares was just as quick. He twisted, and the strike that should have caught him directly in the spine was deflected off the end of his sword hilt. He was then forced to block as Naruto came up and slammed his blades into Ares' own. The god of war grinned. Not bad, not bad. Naruto smirked as he forced more pressure onto the sword. You haven't seen anything yet. Then Ares noticed another Naruto speeding at him with a fully powered Rasengan in his hands. Ares gave the Naruto in front of him a Spartan kick before he turned and slammed in blade down right onto the Rasengan. There was an explosion and a cloud of sand and dust formed. Naruto slid back from the cloud, leaving a trail behind him. Ares grinned as the cloud started to clear. Sorry ninja boy, but Jiraiya used that attack on me before and I know what it can do. While it was not as powerful as his I know that would have left a mark. Naruto charged back at Ares and attack, not leaving a chance for Ares to switch to the offensive. Each swipe of Hunter's Moon was blocked easily and Naruto felt like he was going nowhere. But he did not pause in his attack. Ares however felt each hit getting stronger as time went on slightly. If he was not the god of war he might not have noticed. He wondered how some of Naruto's attack were getting stronger when he noticed what was behind Naruto. The moon was still out even as the sun started to rise more and more. Ares looked at the kid as he kept at it. So he gets some strength from the moon. Make me wonder what this kid can do in the dead of night with the moon shining bright. Ares then pushed Naruto away from him and he skid across the sand. That was when Percy rushed in and slashed at the man again. Ares blocked before he slashed, making Percy sidestep the attack. That sent Percy back onto dry land. When he tried to get back in the water, Ares blocked him, knowing what the boy needed. Get in close, Luke had told Percy once, back in their sword class. When you've got the shorter blade, get in close. Percy stepped inside with a thrust, but Ares was waiting for that. He knocked his blade out of his hands and kicked him in the chest. Percy went airborne, 20, maybe 30 feet. He would have broken his back if he hadn't crashed into the soft sand of a dune. Percy! Annabeth yelled. Cops! Percy was breathing heavily. Naruto rushed back into the fight, ignoring the cops swarming close by. There, officer! Somebody yelled. See? A gruff cop voice called out, looks like those kids from TV, what the heck? That guy's armed, another cop said. Call for backup. Percy recovered and entered the battle. Naruto summoned some shadow clones and they tried to outflank Ares. Ares grabbed on by the face and tossed him way out into the ocean. As another clone got killed, Naruto tired a punch to the back of his head, but Ares turned and the back of his fist caught Naruto's chest. And he was sent flying back. Percy tried to attack but was forced to dodge as the deadly blade came down upon him. Naruto made another shadow clone which grabbed the real one and threw him back into the fight. Ares swung his sword and would have cut the speeding ninja in half if he did not do a replacement. Admit it, brats, Ares said. You got no hope. I'm just toying with you. In the distance, they heard more sirens. Naruto knew they needed to end this fight. Percy stepped further in the water, but Ares was quick. The tip of his blade ripped Percy's sleeve and grazed his forearm. A police voice on a megaphone said, "Drop the guns. Set them on the ground. Now, gun." Percy concentrated on the man's weapon and it seemed to flicker from between a sword to a gun. Naruto assumed that was what the mist made them see. Ares turned to glare at their spectators, which gave the boys a moment to breathe. There were 5 police cars now, and a line of officers crouching behind them, pistols trained on the fighters. This is a private matter. Ares bellowed. Be gone. He swept his hand, and a wall of red flame rolled across the patrol cars. The police barely had time to dive for cover before their vehicles exploded. The crowd behind them scattered, screaming. Ares roared with laughter. Now, little heroes. Let's add you to the barbecue. Naruto smirked and charged again with a few more clones. What wrong, Ares? Don't want people to see you get your ass kicked. Ares growled out as he killed 2 clones and grabbed the foot of the one that tried to jump over his head to get behind him. He slammed Naruto down into the sand and stepped onto his back before he could get up. Do you ever shut up? Naruto gritted his teeth as he was stuck but was still able to say, sorry but my fan expect a certain amount if quip in battle. He then smirked, like this for instance, boom. Ares barely had time to get away as the tag attached to Naruto exploded. Ares slid back but right into Percy's trap. Percy has been holding the water back like he did in Denver when he and Annabeth needed to get out of the tunnel of love ride. Like Annabeth told him, he was holding back the pressure until the right moment. When the man was right next to them and had no time to dodge anything, Percy let loose the torrent of water. A 6-foot wall of water smashed him full in the face, leaving him cursing and sputtering with a mouth full of seaweed. The boys reacted and charged. Naruto had another Rasengan in his hands. Percy made a feint with his sword at Ares' head, making the man bring his sword up to block the attacks. But since he was disoriented from the water attack, he didn't anticipate the trick. Percy changed direction and stabbed his blade straight down into the water, sending the point through the god's heels. However, Naruto still went up and slammed his Rasengan into Ares' shoulder. The roar that followed made Hades' earthquake look like a minor event. The very sea was blasted back from Ares, leaving a wet circle of sand 50 feet wide. Ichor, the golden blood of the gods, flowed from the gashes in the war god's boots and from the man's shoulder where the shirt was ripped and a scar was. The expression on his face was beyond hatred. It was pain, shock, complete disbelief that he'd been wounded. He limped toward them, muttering ancient Greek curses. Something stopped him. It was as if a cloud covered the sun, but worse. Light faded. Sound and color drained away. A cold, heavy presence passed over the beach, slowing time, dropping the temperature to freezing, and making the boys feel like life was hopeless, fighting was useless. The darkness lifted. Ares looked stunned. Police cars were burning behind them. The crowd of spectators had fled. Annabeth and Grover stood on the beach, in shock, watching the water flood back around Ares' feet, his glowing golden ichor dissipating in the tide. Ares lowered his sword. You have made an enemy, godlings, he told them. You have sealed your fate. Every time you raise your blade in battle, every time you hope for success, you will feel my curse. Beware, Perseus Jackson, Naruto Uzumaki. Beware. Naruto stepped forward with a glare. Go ahead. Seeing his shocked look he went on, you think your little curse will stop me? Make my weapons useless, that will not stop me. I will always fight to defend those precise to me. Your curse means nothing to me. Smirking, Ares' body began to glow. Even if the kid made an enemy out of him he still had guts. Ares almost had some respect for the kid, almost. Percy, Naruto. Annabeth shouted. Don't watch. They turned away as the god Ares revealed his true immortal form. They somehow knew that if they looked, they would disintegrate into ashes. The light died. When they looked back, the body was Ares was gone. They had own, for now. The tide rolled out to reveal Hades' bronze helm of darkness. Naruto decided to pick it up as they made their way back to shore to meet with their friends. He looked at the helm wondering how will they get it back to Hades in time. But before they got there, they heard the flapping of leathery wings. 3 evil-looking grandmothers with lace hats and fiery whips drifted down from the sky and landed in front of the 2 boys. The middle Fury, the one who had been Mrs. Dodds, stepped forward. Her fangs were bared, but for once she didn't look threatening. She looked more disappointed, as if she'd been planning to have Percy for supper, but had decided he might give her indigestion. "We saw the whole thing," she hissed. "So, it truly was not you?" Naruto snorted. "We already said this was a trick. Sometimes the gods need to listen more. They don't always know everything." He tossed the helm to her, which she caught in surprise. "Here, return it to your boss." "We got it back like he promised, and I never go back on my word." "Yes, return it to him," Percy said. "Tell him the truth. Tell him to call off the war." She hesitated, then ran a forked tongue over her green, leathery lips. "Live well, Percy Jackson. Become a true hero. Because if you do not, if you ever come into my clutches again." She cackled before turning to Naruto. "You are a strange one, ninja. I almost believe that I would never have to worry about you." Naruto smirked. "Yeah, I get that a lot." She smirked before she and her sisters rose on their bats' wings, fluttered into the smoke-filled sky, and disappeared. The 2 boys joined Grover and Annabeth, who were staring at them in amazement. Grover said, "That was so incredibly terrifying," said Annabeth. "Cool," Grover corrected. "No big," Naruto said, was wrapped into a hug from his friends. He was tried from the battle, but it was worth it to stop the war. Percy smiled, but he was dog-tired and he didn't feel scared at all. "Did you guys feel that, whatever it was?" They both nodded uneasily. "Must have been the Furies overhead," Grover said. "Well, whatever it was, it saved out asses," Naruto commented with a nervous chuckle. Percy reclaimed his backpack from Grover and looked inside. The Master Bolt was still there. Such a small thing to almost cause World War III. Naruto looked at it. "So we have Zeus's oversized toy, we just need to get it to him before he throws another tantrum. By tonight." Percy reminded them. "That's impossible," Annabeth said, "unless we fly," replied Naruto and Percy in unison. She stared at them. "Fly, like, in an airplane, which you, Percy, were warned never to do lest Zeus strike you out of the sky, and carrying a weapon that has more destructive power than a nuclear bomb." Naruto smirked. Unless he want to lose his favorite toy, again, he would do no just thing. "So let's get tickets and end this stupid quest." The others nodded before Grover asked, "Hey Naruto, where is my reed pipe?" Naruto felt his pockets but shrugged, "Must have lost it in the fight." Grover looked shocked. "You lost it?" "I barely found it in those woods before we had to leave for the train. Had no idea how it ended up in the top branches of that tree, but you had to go and lose it?" Naruto kept his smirk small as Grover's rant was worth it. He hoped Ares did not mind that he gave his pet a little snack in the battle. "Oh, make the Hermes boys revenge." Luke could be found with his brother, the Strolls, as they got everything ready for their revenge for the prank Naruto played on them. The Strolls were still laughed at for the outfits and their already failed plans, and Luke still had a twitch when Clarice got into view. "You sure this will work?" Luke asked his brothers. Travis nodded. "Yep, was saving this for when Naruto gets back, but with everything that has happened this mean war." Connor smirked, had the camera set up for one time he was in the showers. "Once we make enough copies he will be the laughing stack of camp." Luke laughed as he could not wait. They waited in the dark room for the picture to develop. When it was finished they all looked down on it, and got depressed. "Unbelievable," muttered Luke. "That's impossible," Travis added. "Even when he is not here Naruto still wins," Connor said before he ripped the photo. "We can't pin these up, all the girls would want him then." His brother nodded. "Yeah, the Aphrodite girls would grab him when he walks into camp and take him to their cabin and make him do all of them. And Clarice would be the first to lead the charge." Luke muttered as he headed for the door, his head and shoulders slumped. Travis started to destroy the rest of the film. "We can't even try and sell theses to the girls. It will make the rest of us look bad." "Dude, I think anyone would look bad compared to him. I thought he was Artemis's kid, not Aphrodite's." Luke went out leaving his brothers behind. "That's just not fair." Chapter 22, Together Again. It was official, Naruto thought. The mist had a sense of humor. Yes, Naruto believed that after what happened when the fight with Ares ended, The mist that Chiron talked about really did screw up a normal human's perception of all the mythical things that go on in the world. When they first started out it was hounding Percy, painting him as criminal. Now they were having some fun with it as the reported talked about what really happened. According to the LA News, the explosion at the Santa Monica beach had been caused when a crazy kidnapper fired a shotgun at a police car. He accidentally hit a gas main that had ruptured during the earthquake. This crazy kidnapper, aka Ares, was the same man who had abducted Percy, Naruto, and 2 other adolescents in New York and brought them across country on a 10-day odyssey of terror. Poor little Percy Jackson was an international criminal after all. Percy had caused a commotion on that Greyhound bus in New Jersey trying to get away from their captor, and afterward, witnesses would even swear they had seen the leather-clad man on the bus. The crazy man also hired the gang to catch the kids in the St. Louis Arch. When the other gang heard they went after them for the money and started the fight and caused the explosion inside the arch. A concerned waitress in Denver had seen the man threatening his abductees outside her diner, gotten a friend to take a photo, and notified the police. Finally, brave Percy Jackson, thanks to the supposed encouragement from Naruto Uzumaki, had stolen a gun from his captor in Los Angeles and battled him shotgun to rifle on the beach. Naruto had stolen the man's knives to defend himself against man, helping Percy fight off their captor. Police had arrived just in time. But in the spectacular explosion, 5 police cars had been destroyed and the captor had fled. No fatalities had occurred. Percy Jackson and his 3 friends were safely in police custody. The reporters fed them this whole story and they just nodded and acted tearful and exhausted, which wasn't hard, and played victimized kids for the cameras. All I want, Percy said, choking back my tears, is to see my loving stepfather again. Every time I saw him on TV, calling me a delinquent punk, I knew, somehow, we would be okay. And I know he'll want to reward each and every person in this beautiful city of Los Angeles with a free major appliance from his store. Here's the phone number. The police and reporters were so moved that they passed around the hat and raised money for 3 tickets on the next plane to New York. Naruto felt like his heart was going to explode as he kept his laughter down. This was too good, but they were almost done. After that, Percy said they needed to get back to New York and all the TV reporters provided them with the money to get airplane tickets. Naruto tried to tell them that he had money for the trip but they would not have it. They knew they had no other choice but to go on an airplane since they did not have the time to travel back by car or train for that matter. However, knowing that Zeus was watching them, Percy had a hard time deciding whether to board the plane or not. It was only did Naruto remind him that they were carrying his doomsday toy. He has been a baby about the stupid thing. Is he really going to shoot it out of the sky before he gets it back because he will have to search for it again? They were now sitting in their seats while all jittering. Percy was still worried and glancing out the sky but Naruto relaxed and leaned back in his seat. Wake me up when we get there, he muttered with a yawn. Dream starts. Naruto found himself in a forest. But his attention was on the 2 figures in front of him. The first figure was himself, but he looked older and in front of him was Itachi Uchiha. What is going on? Why is Itachi here? He then looked closer at himself and understood, I must be back in the elemental nations. This must be a fight that has yet to happen. But why am I seeing it like this? Itachi gazed at the older Naruto. My Naruto, you seem to have gotten better. Wherever you went you must have been training. But will it be enough? Naruto glared, you are not going to stop me Itachi. We will see about that. Itachi answered. Naruto then went and pulled out a handful of shuriken, but Naruto noticed they were made of bronze. Naruto threw the shuriken but Itachi dodged them and appeared to the side. Celestial bronze Naruto. You do know that they cannot harm mortals, right? Naruto narrowed his eyes, so you are a half-blood as well. Itachi gazed at him, oh. You sure about that? Naruto nodded, you know of celestial bronze and the fact they cannot harm mortals. If you were simply mortal then you would not have dodged and let them go right through you. So, whose son are you? Itachi closed his eyes for a minute before he opened them and answered, I am the son of Mikoto Uchiha and Tsukuyomi, the goddess of the moon. Naruto blinked, so the gods here also have kids. Didn't see that coming. He blinked and he remembered something, wait, isn't Mikoto yours and Sasuke's mom? Itachi narrowed his eyes and glared at Naruto. Do you have a problem with that? Even the current Naruto could hear the threat in his tone. Naruto shook his head quickly, hey, I am the son of Artemis. Plus with my Olympian family I really do not have room to talk. Itachi stopped his glare. So two sons of two different moons locked in battle, what are the odds? Naruto blinked as he has not thought about that. So is Sasuke? No, Itachi answered. He has mortal patents not counting the Uchiha clan as a whole. Seeing Naruto's confused face he added the Uchiha clan or more importantly the Sharingan came from the children of a son of Amaterasu and a daughter of Tsukuyomi. Both Naruto blinked at that, so the bloodlines come from the gods. I do not know for sure, I only know of my clan from my immortal mother, but enough about that. I do believe our fight is still in order. Naruto watched as the two charged at each other before the dream starts to fade. Dream ends. When they touched down, they split up at the taxi company. Percy had convinced Annabeth and Grover to back to the camp Half-Blood and let Chiron know what had happened. They protested, and it was hard to let them go after all they had been through, but Percy felt that he had to do the last part of the quest himself. But Naruto told him he was going anyways and would hog-tie Percy if he had to. So they went together. Besides, if things went bad, at least those two would survive to tell Chiron the truth. So they hopped into a taxi and headed into Manhattan. 30 minutes, they were through the front doors into the lobby of the Empire State Building. Naruto looked around and whistled, deeply impressed. So, how are we supposed to get to Olympus anyway? Percy shrugged. I was just going to go up to the front desk and ask to get to the 600th floor. Naruto blinked, works for me. As they walked up to the front desk, they must have looked like homeless kids thanks to their ragged-looking clothing, but what can you do about that when you are in a hurry? Percy went right up to the guard at the front deck and said, 600th floor. The guard was reading a huge book before he looked at them. No such floor, kiddos. I need an audience with Zeus. Percy said with serious face. He gave them a vacant smile. Sorry. You heard me. Naruto had enough. Listen buddy, we had a rough week. We went across the country looking for the Zeus's bolt. Now he is crying and throwing a tantrum for it, and if he does not get it you can go explain to the big guy why he has not gotten his toy yet. Percy then slipped off his backpack and unzipped the top. The guard looked inside at the metal cylinder, not getting what it was for a few seconds. Then his face went pale. That isn't. Yes, it is, Percy promised. You want me take it out and... No. No. He scrambled out of his seat, fumbled around his desk for a key card, then handed it to Percy. Insert this in the security slot. Make sure nobody else is in the elevator with you too. Percy did as he told him. As soon as the elevator doors closed, he slipped the key into the slot. The card disappeared and a new button appeared on the console, a red one that said 600. They pressed the button and waited, and waited. By now, still nothing and Naruto was getting really annoyed, but before he could voice his thoughts, there was ding and the door slid open. The sight almost gave the boys a heart attack. They were standing on a narrow stone walkway in the middle of the air. Below them was Manhattan, from the height of an airplane. In front of them, white marble steps wound up the spine of a cloud, into the sky. They could not believe eyes, but their brains told them it was really there. Naruto peered over the clouds to the city below and whistled. Now that is a long way down. If a penny was dropped from here, it would not more than kill a guy. Percy shook his head, try and not piss someone off here Naruto, I rather not go down the fast way. Naruto chuckled, talk about a long drop and a sudden stop. From the top of the clouds rose the decapitated peak of a mountain, its summit covered with snow. Clinging to the mountainside were dozens of multi-leveled palaces, a city of mansions, all with white-columned porticos, gilded terraces, and bronze braziers glowing with 1,000 fires. Roads wound crazily up to the peak, where the largest palace gleamed against the snow. Precariously perched gardens bloomed with olive trees and rosebushes. They could make out an open-air market filled with colorful tents, a stone amphitheater built on one side of the mountain, a hippodrome and a coliseum on the other. It was an ancient Greek city, except it wasn't in ruins. It was new, and clean, and colorful, the way Athens must have looked 2,500 years ago. Their trip through Olympus was like a daze, like they thought it was a dream. The duo passed some giggling wood nymphs who threw olives at them from their garden. Naruto shocked them by catching them in his mouth. Hawkers in the market offered to sell some ambrosia on a stick, and a new shield, and a genuine glitterweave replica of the Golden Fleece, as seen on Hephaestus TV. Speaking of which, several people were swarming Naruto talking about his little show and they wanted to know if there was going to be another one. The 9 muses were tuning their instruments for a concert in the park while a small crowd gathered, satyrs and naiads and a bunch of good-looking teenagers who might have been minor gods and goddesses. Nobody seemed worried about an impending civil war. In fact, everybody seemed in a festive mood. Several of them turned to watch the two pass, and whispered to themselves. They climbed the main road, toward the big palace at the peak. It was a reverse copy of the palace in the underworld. There, everything had been black and bronze. Here, everything glittered white and silver. Naruto sadly realized Hades must have built his palace to resemble this one. He wasn't welcomed in Olympus except on the winter solstice, so he built his own Olympus underground. He felt a little sorry for the guy. To be banished from this place seemed really unfair. It would make anybody bitter. Steps led up to a central courtyard. Past that, the throne room. Okay, room really isn't the right word for it. The place made Grand Central Station look like a broom closet. Massive columns rose to a domed ceiling, which was gilded with moving constellations. 12 thrones, built for beings the size of Hades, were arranged in an inverted U, just like the cabins at Camp Half-Blood. An enormous fire crackled in the central hearth pit. The thrones were empty except for 2 at the end, the head throne on the right, and the one to its immediate left. Naruto calmly walked toward the 2 like it was nothing, while Percy was a nervous wreck. The gods were in giant human form, as Hades had been, but the feeling of looking at them feel like they were going to be set on fire. Zeus, the lord of the gods, wore a dark blue pinstriped suit. He sat on a simple throne of solid platinum. He had a well-trimmed beard, marbled gray and black like a storm cloud. His face was proud and handsome and grim, his eyes rainy gray. As they got near him, the air crackled and smelled of ozone. The god sitting next to him was his brother, without a doubt, but he was dressed very differently. He reminded Percy of a beachcomber from Key West. He wore leather sandals, khaki Bermuda shorts, and a Tommy Bahama shirt with coconuts and parrots all over it. His skin was deeply tanned, his hands scarred like an old-time fisherman's. His hair was black, like Percy's. His face had that same brooding look that had always gotten his son branded a rebel. But his eyes, sea green like his son's, were surrounded by sun crinkles that told me he smiled a lot, too. His throne was a deep-sea fisherman's chair. It was the simple swiveling kind, with a black leather seat and a built-in holster for a fishing pole. Instead of a pole, the holster held a bronze trident, flickering with green light around the tips. Naruto found himself looking at one woman on the other side of the Zeus Pass Hera's seat. She had auburn hair gathered back in a ponytail and strange eyes, silvery yellow like the moon. Her face was so beautiful it made Naruto catch his breath, and it was a natural look, no makeup or anything. Her expression however was soft and she gazed was that of affection and pride. Naruto knew without a doubt this was his mother. The gods weren't moving or speaking, but there was tension in the air, as if they'd just finished an argument. Percy approached the fisherman's throne and knelt at his feet. Father. He dared not look up. Naruto however simply raised his hand to them and cried, "Yo!" Several of the gods had different reactions. Hermes, Apollo laughed outright while Aphrodite giggled, Hephaestus chuckled along with Poseidon and Dionysus. Artemis shook her head but her smile did not fade. The rest just stared at him. Zeus then spoke to Percy. "Should you not address the master of this house first, boy?" Naruto eyed Percy as he showed some humility and kneeled before the giant gods. It seemed that Percy was too freaked or overwhelmed to look up. Zeus turned to him next, or they at least bow and got shout out to them. "Peace, brother," Poseidon finally said. His voice stirred Percy's oldest memories, that warm glow he remembered as a baby, the sensation of this god's hand on his forehead. The boy defers to his father. "This is only right." "Yes, father," Artemis said, "they have traveled long and hard to retrieve your master bolt and this is the first time they meet their godly parents. Beside my son was never raised to the traditions that the other children have." Zeus gazed at his daughter before looking at his brother. "You still claim him then?" Zeus asked, menacingly. "You claim this child whom you sired against our sacred oath? Have you already forgotten Talia?" Naruto said and Zeus glared down at him. Naruto however saw a bit of regret in his eyes. Was it for Talia's condition or something else? Poseidon came to his rescue. "I have admitted my wrongdoing," Poseidon said. Now I would hear him speak. Naruto heard Percy gulp at that. Naruto hoped that his friend did not think himself a mistake. I have spared him once already, Zeus grumbled. Daring to fly through my domain, pa. I should have blasted him out of the sky for his impudence. But if you did that, then you would not have gotten your bolt at all. Naruto reminded him, then you would have to stop what you would have been doing to look for it again. I would rather get it back now rather than start all over again. Zeus glared down at Naruto. No matter. Poseidon said, fighting back a laugh. Let us hear my son and his friend out, brother. Yes, I am sure they have much to tell. Artemis said, if my son can stop getting under people's skin for a few minutes. She finished in a teasing tone to him. Naruto grinned back at her. Zeus grumbled some more. I shall listen, he decided. Then I shall make up my mind whether or not to cast these boys down from Olympus. I am already close to doing that to the blonde one. Perseus, Poseidon said. Look at me. Percy did as told and was not sure if his father was happy to see him or not, since there was no true emotion on the man's face. Address Lord Zeus, boy, Poseidon told me. Tell him your story. So Percy told Zeus everything, just as it had happened, with Naruto putting in his 2 cents every now and then. Percy was grateful that his blonde friend was able to fill in the missing parts. He took out the metal cylinder, which began sparking in the sky god's presence, and laid it at his feet. There was a long silence, broken only by the crackle of the hearth fire. Zeus opened his palm. The lightning bolt flew into it. As he closed his fist, the metallic points flared with electricity, until he was holding what looked more like the classic thunderbolt, a 20-foot javelin of arcing, hissing energy that made the hairs on my scalp rise. I sense the boy tells the truth, Zeus muttered. But that Ares would do such a thing, it is most unlike him. He is proud and impulsive, Poseidon said. It runs in the family, Lord? Percy asked. They both said, yes. Ares didn't act alone. Someone else, something else, came up with the idea. Percy stated. He described his dreams, and the feeling they had on the beach, that momentary breath of evil that had seemed to stop the world, and made Ares back off from killing the two. In the dreams, Percy said, the voice told me to bring the bolt to the underworld. Ares hinted that he'd been having dreams, too. I think he was being used, just as we were, to start a war. You are accusing Hades, after all? Zeus asked. No, Percy said before Naruto could retort with something that could get them killed. I mean, Lord Zeus, I've been in the presence of Hades. This feeling on the beach was different. It was the same thing I felt when I got close to that pit. That was the entrance to Tartarus, wasn't it? Something powerful and evil is stirring down there, something even older than the gods. Poseidon and Zeus looked at each other. They had a quick, intense discussion in ancient Greek, but the only word that they caught of that was father. Zeus then stood up. I must go personally to purify this thunderbolt in the waters of Lemnos, to remove the human taint from its metal. Yeah, not like we helped get your toy back or anything. Naruto muttered, but everyone heard him. Zeus's face turned red as he glared down at him. It is not a toy, he said sternly, while the other gods chuckled and laughed. Artemis shook her head but said to Zeus, peace father, he mean nothing by that. He looked at his daughter before back to the boys. His expression softened just a fraction of a degree. You have done me a service, you too. Few heroes could have accomplished as much. We had help, sir, Percy said. Grover Underwood and Annabeth Chase. To show you my thanks, I shall spare your lives. I do not trust you two, Perseus Jackson and Naruto Uzumaki. I do not like what your arrival means for the future of Olympus. But for the sake of peace in the family, I shall let you live. Thank you, sir. Percy said, putting a hand over Naruto's mouth because he knew the blonde had a smartass remark. Naruto glared at his friend. Do not presume to fly again, son of Poseidon. Do not let me find you here when I return. Otherwise you shall taste this bolt. And it shall be your last sensation. We have one other matter to deal with, Hera cried out with a glare to her husband. She then held up a certain orange book. I believe one of yous sent this book to my husband. Percy looked at the book and blushed red, as he was the one that found it in Naruto pack, which surprised the blonde. He said that his mentor must have snuck it in, and when Percy looked at it he could not look at any good-looking girl without blushing. The other gods and goddess look at Hera. Ares recognized the book from his time with Jiraiya and had a grin finding the scene amusing. Artemis glanced at the book and went wide-eyed before she glared at it, wanting nothing more than to have it burst into flames in Hera's hand. The others were confused at what the big deal was. Aphrodite reached over and grabbed the book and started to read it. Naruto blinked. I have no idea what you are talking about. I do not even know what kind of book that is. Hera narrowed her eyes. Very well, but when I find out who did it I will make them wish they were never born. Zeus saw his chance to escape his wife Wrath, having already faced it before. Thunder shook the palace. With a blinding flash of lightning, Zeus was gone. Your uncle, Poseidon sighed, has always had a flair for dramatic exits. I think he would have done well as the god of theater. He turned back to Percy and put a hand on the boy's shoulder. I'll be back. Besides, I have a feeling that your dad wants to speak with you, alone. The blonde then went after the goddess. Once Naruto made his way to the woman, he noticed that she had shrunk down to normal human size. They stood in front of each other just staring into each other's eyes. Artemis then reached out and wrapped her son in her arms before he could react. Naruto, my son. She said, and Naruto felt tears landing on his shoulders. Look how much you have grown. It is good to see you awake and fully healed. I was afraid I almost lost you when I brought you over to this world. Naruto tried to keep his emotion and tears down, but he could not as he hugged his mother. His fears were defeated as he was not a disappointment to her. Artemis stopped the hug and held her son at arm's length. Naruto, I'm sorry. Naruto shook his head. No mom, there is nothing to. But there is, Artemis interrupted. I may have been forced to leave you, but I could have done better. Brought you here sooner, try and get away to see you, but... Tears swelled up again. I left you, when you needed me most and with a terrible burden. Naruto turned and head to the side, but his mother placed a hand on his cheek and turned it back to her face. Do not despair, Naruto. You are a hero from what to keep locked away. You keep everyone you love safe from a monster that rivals the one we fear. Naruto clenched his fist. He hated the fox even if what his mother said was true. I never wanted it. He muttered. Heroes never ask for their burdens. True heroes like yourself only take them because they know that they must and to protect those important to them. Naruto nodded. Yeah, I had to use it power to fight for my friends. Even if I have not needed to yet. Artemis nodded, and hopefully you may not have to. I added some of my power to the seal to keep it more locked away. With any luck you would not need it at all. Naruto looked surprised. He remembered when he was training for the Chunin exams when Percy Sage was talking about all that unlimited power he had locked inside him and it would be a waste to use it. Artemis however read his thought and frowned. I am not sure what, she paused and smirked a bit. Percy Sage was thinking, but the beast's power is not to be trifled with. It does more harm to your body than good. If I ever see that idiot again I will be giving him a piece of my mind. Naruto could not help it. You're going to turn him into a toad again? Artemis nodded. Yes, and your father won't be there to convince me to. Naruto, how do you know I turned him into a toad before? Naruto looked sheepish. I kinda had this dream about what happened to everyone after you took me here. He might have mentioned it to everyone. Artemis eyed her son before she nodded. While I rather not have that man anywhere near you, I do not doubt he could train you. He already learned 2 power jutsu and your father would have wanted you to learn them. Naruto looked up. Mom, he gulped, who is my dad? Artemis stared bewildered. You do not know? I thought you already knew of your father at least. She sighed. Well, I guess you deserve to know. Your father was one of a kind man. He was like a hero, but he cared for nothing of personal gain. He fought to protect the village and I could not help but fall for him. He strived to protect everyone, and when I told him I was expecting you he shouted it from on top of the Hokage mountain. When he saw you for the first time you were the star in his eyes and you were mine. When the 9-tailed fox attacked he felt like he was breaking his heart between turning his back to the village he loves and his family. It broke his head to seal the beast inside of you, to never get the chance to know you, as I couldn't either. Naruto stopped. He sealed the fox inside me. But that would mean he was. Artemis nodded. Yes, your father became the 4th Hokage. Naruto stared misty eyes. His father was his hero. He saw the 4th as someone her surpassed to strive to be. To find out that he was his father was nothing short of amazing to him. Artemis wrapped her son in her arms again. Minato would be proud of you, Naruto. You fight for your friends, you fight to protect those who could not, and you are a hero in our eyes. I know we have never been so proud of you, my son. It felt like forever before the two broke apart as they did not want to. But they knew it was time for them to go. Artemis and Naruto walked together towards the exit. I hope to see you sometime after the summer ends. Artemis said, I want to see you more often. Naruto smiled, I would like that. He then thought of something, you will have to break it to your hunters though. I am not sure how they would react to me. Artemis frowned slightly, yes, I am not going to look forward to that conversation. Hopefully they will not overreact. Naruto shrugged, hey, if anything they are family. I am sure they see you as a mother, so they are my sister to me. Artemis smiled before she glanced at him, speaking of which, why did you have a copy of that worthless piece of trash called a book? Naruto blinked and smiled sheepishly, Pervy Sage snuck into my gear I had with me at the time. Artemis frowned and Naruto wondered if he should feel sorry for Pervy Sage when they meet. Artemis then asked, any reason you send it here? I figured Zeus need a distraction and Hera would find it, plus making him worry about something else other than his missing toy. Artemis rolled her eyes but knew he had other reasons. Curse Hermes and his taste for pranks. That just had to be passed down to her son. She felt lucky that it seemed to have skipped Minato. With one final hug Artemis said, remember who you are, Naruto. You are more than you can ever imagine. You are my son, my true heir. And nothing can ever change that. Naruto smiled as he broke the hug, thanks mom. I will come find you later. I love you. Artemis returned the smile, and I love you my son, and with that she vanished. Naruto went down the steps and waited for Percy. He did have to wait long as Percy walked out the door. He had a look on his face that Naruto felt was somewhat out of place. How you doing, man? The blonde asked. I'm good. Although Dad said that he was sorry he gave me a hero's fate because I was born. Percy said. Naruto patted him on the back and said, let me tell you something. It is the same thing I told Neji, we make our own fates. It is not what others say will happen but what we do that defines ourselves and who we are. As they walked back through the city of the gods, conversation stopped. The muses paused their concert. People and satyrs and naiads all turned towards the two, their faces filled with respect and gratitude, and as the duo passed, they knelt, as if the two were some kind of heroes. Once they were back in Manhattan, Percy hailed a cab. Before he jumped in, Naruto passed him some money for the ride home. Are you coming to my house with me? Naruto shook his head, no, I think you need to see your mother alone. I already seen mine and I am sure she is worried about you. Percy thanked him, so what are you going to do? Naruto shrugged, I am going to look around a bit, maybe pick some stuff off at my apartment. Percy nodded, you don't have to go alone, I am sure mom would be glad to see you as well. I am just cool like that. But maybe next time. Naruto said with a smirk. So, when you get the chance, let's meet back up at Camp Half-Blood. I have a feeling that you will be there soon anyway. Percy nodded and smiled. He got into the cab and it drove off. Naruto looked up, well mom, I do not know what is ahead but my friends and I are going to charge ahead full speed. And with that he started off and soon mixed with the many people walking in the city. Oh make, Athena's curse. Athena was walking down one of the hall on Olympus when she saw Aphrodite walking toward her with her face still in that book that had Hera all mad at Zeus. Athena had no idea what was about that book and Aphrodite did not even notice her as she walked past Athena. I never pictured you for a big reader, Aphrodite. Aphrodite looked up and smiled at her, it is very good. Here, see for yourself. Athena raised a brow but took the offered book and started to read. Her eyes moved as she kept reading, and the more she reads the more anger she feels. Artemis turned into the hallway when Athena blew her top, who dares write this trash, Artemis offered, to which Aphrodite frowned at. Thank you, Athena muttered before she went on. This trash and attempt top pass it off as literature. When I found out who wrote this, I will make sure they never write anything ever again. Artemis stopped and turned with a smile that seemed almost evil to Aphrodite. Sister, what if I told you I happen to know the little man, and I use that term loosely, that write this trash? In the elemental nations, Jiraiya was sitting in his hotel room at a desk with a pad of paper and his pen. Well, with all the research I done, I must say this new book will better than my last one. He placed his pen on the pad, and stopped. His mind went blank for a second. He placed it there as an idea came to him, but it was gone before he could even write it down. For the next 10 minutes, every time he got an idea for his book he lost it before he had any time he could write it down. "Oh sweet dainties above, why have you forsaken me?" Jiraiya cried out to the heavens, not knowing what was wrong. Chapter 23, finally over. Naruto came back to camp hours to find Annabeth Grover talking to Percy, who seemed to have arrived back recently as well. He smiled before he used his ninja skill and snuck behind Grover. "Hey guys, what's up?" he asked behind his sadder friend. Grover screamed and jumped into Percy's arms before glaring at Naruto. "Why must you do that, Naruto?" Naruto just grinned at him, "Because it is so much fun." He laughed before Percy let Grover down and Naruto asked, "So Percy, how was the trip to your mother?" Percy sighed before she explained what he did and how his mother was now free of Gabe. Naruto nodded. The only thing he could say about it was the fact he could not get Gabe back from what he did. He wrapped his arms around Annabeth's and Percy's shoulder and turned towards camp. "Well, let's show everyone we beat the odds and came out of this on top." They laughed and headed down the hill and towards camp. One by one, the campers noticed their arrival and begun to gather at the gates, congratulating them on a job well done. They were the first to come back from a quest since Luke. In the end, a party was thrown for their return and they were treated like celebrities. According to camp tradition, they wore laurel wreaths to a big feast prepared in their honor, then led a procession down to the bonfire, where they got to burn the burial shrouds their cabins had made for them in their absence. Even though Grover didn't have a cabin or was a demigod, he partied with his kind in the forest. Annabeth's shroud was so beautiful, gray silk with embroidered owls. Percy told her it seemed a shame not to bury her in it. She simply punched him and told him to shut up. Percy's shroud was a joke and Naruto could not help but laugh his ass off. As he was the son of Poseidon, so he did not have any cabin mates, so the Ares cabin had volunteered to make his shroud. They'd taken an old bedsheet and painted smiley faces with XD out eyes around the border, and the word loser painted really big in the middle. Naruto could tell the Percy had no trouble burning that. Naruto was surprised that the Aphrodite cabin made his shroud. Clarice confessed to him that she wanted his to look good and her cabin was already making Percy's, her words not Naruto's, asked the Aphrodite cabin to make his. Naruto was touched and impressed with what they did. It was mostly orange with a large silver crescent moon in the center. They also added a headband just like the one he got from Iruka hanging of the top of the moon. Naruto turned toward the Aphrodite cabin when they showed him it and he smiled at them. "Thanks guys, I think my mother would like it very much." The Aphrodite cabin beamed at the praise and Clarice was glad she made the right choice in trusting them. The party went on with as Apollo cabin led the sing-along and passed out Esmores. Percy was surrounded by his old Hermes cabin mates, Annabeth's friends from Athena, and Naruto had his friends from Hermes, Ares and some of the other cabins he gotten to know better. Grover was with his sadder buddies, who were admiring the brand new searcher's license he'd received from the Council of Cloven Elders. The council had called Grover's performance on the quest brave to the point of indigestion. Horns and whiskers above anything we have seen in the past. Clarice and her siblings were not in a partying mood at first. They shot poisonous looks that told Percy they'd never forgive Percy for disgracing their dad. Naruto was able to convince them and it seems they were able to forgive him. "No hard feeling," Naruto has said to them, "he was trying to cause a war that would hurt everyone. I could not back down when I could have stopped him." Clarice made an effort to avoid his eyes as she blushed. "We can respect that, I guess. You fought like a true warrior with all your skill. We respect you before with your skill and strength anyways so." Naruto blushed and rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. "I didn't fight you guys like you guys do. I have my ninja skill and I think that counts as cheating." Clarice shook her head. "You fought like a warrior, even when we first met. You could have killed me and I would not have known. Percy pushed us with water with pure dumb luck and not skill. He does not stand a chance against us without it nor against you." Naruto shrugged, not sure if that was true or not. Clarice added, "Hey, the next game of Capture the Flag, you want to be on our team?" Naruto nodded, "Sure, sounds like fun." Clarice grinned and they joined the party. The party was fun and not even Dionysus's welcome home speech was enough to dampen anyone's spirits. Yes, so the little brat didn't get himself killed and now he'll have an even bigger head. Not to mention our blonde friend has does some crazy things and even the gods had a few laughs at his antics. Well, huzzah for that. In other announcements, there will be no canoe races this Saturday. The party went on till well into the night and everyone felt like they were on top of the world. Life went on in camp the next day and things were turning back to normal. Percy was happy in his cabin where it was peaceful and Naruto was training harder than ever for a reason only he knows. Percy told him that he got a letter from his mom, telling him that Gabe had mysteriously disappeared. That she sold a few statues that she had created to gain enough money for a new apartment and college tuition at NYU. Naruto nodded with a grin. He felt like Percy's mom deserved it. Capture the Flag games went on and Annabeth got Naruto and Percy together to talk of strategies she made to keep the flag out of the Ares' cabin's hands. But when Naruto told her bad news she did not take it very well. What? Why are you with Ares' cabin? Annabeth asked, seeing all her plans she made with Naruto ruined. Naruto shrugged. Clarice asked me first and I said yes. Plus it would be good to have different teams to get better. If we always have the same teams then it would get boring. Annabeth huffed, fine then I will have to make plans to stop you with the rest of Ares' cabin. Naruto looked at her before he burst out laughing. He did not explain as he walked off still laughing. Annabeth huffed, what's so funny? Percy and Grover winced knowing what Naruto was laughing about and decided to nip this on in the bud. Listen Annabeth, Grover started you can't really make plans to stop Naruto. Annabeth looked them bewildered, what? You can make plans all you want but they will never work, Percy added, Naruto will just do something you will never see coming. He's unpredictable. Annabeth seethed, no one is unpredictable. Athena always makes a plan. Yes but not with Naruto. Percy repeated, you cannot make plans to counter, stop or anything that evolves around strategy. Annabeth refused to believe it and headed off. Grover and Percy knew this was going to be trouble. Scene change. It was the night of the capture the flag and Annabeth made several plans she thought would stop Naruto. The game started and the blue team, Athena's charged. They went the line that divided the sides and found it odd that the red team did not charge. They slowed down and made their way slowly ready. Then Naruto stepped out and blew a horn in a cry Percy felt like he heard before. What is he doing? Annabeth asked confused. Before anyone could answer another horn was heard and Percy had a bad feeling. Then out of the brush and trees were countless Naruto shadow clones. All of them hooting and hollowing that made Percy realize what Naruto was doing. He's copying the Ewoks attack from Star Wars. Of course he is. Before anyone could do anything all the Narutos armed their bows and fired rapidly at once. Endless amount of arrows flew up high before they arched and fell upon the blue team. Many raised their shield as the arrows pummeled them. They struggled under the endless wave before trying to move or counterattack. Some tried to knock the arrows out with their shield and swords but the number overwhelmed them. They were lucky as the arrows were all blunt but they hurt like hell as many fell all bruised up. Annabeth had tried to sneak by with her hat but the arrows hit her as well showing where she was as she fell with her hat being knocked off. Percy tried to knock the arrows away as he inched closer to the water but was knocked to his knees before another arrow hit his helmet and knocked him to the ground. The entire blue team, beside the lucky ones that had to guard the flag, was down all groaning in pain with bruises forming all over. Seeing everyone down for the count Naruto made his clones pop and the rest of the red team simply walked out of the woods. Clarice smirked at Naruto, nice work Naruto. Naruto nodded, yep now you guys go get the flag. And try and go easy on the lucky guys guarding it. We need to end it before they get their second wind. Clarice laughed as she stepped on Luke, who was groaning on the ground with his dented helmet beside him, showing she was still mad at him for peeking on her, or so she believed. Are you kidding? They won't be getting up anytime soon. I'm almost upset that we did not get to fight, but seeing the looks on their faces so makes up for it. You got to be on our team again next game. Naruto laughed. Sure maybe next game, but let's end this already. Scene change. The next game came around and once again Naruto was with Ares. Annabeth made several plans to stop Naruto and his arrows when as Grover and Percy tried to tell her that Naruto would not do the same thing let alone the same style of action. She went on about Clarice playing Naruto to his strengths and that he was the best with the bow and arrow, a fact even the Apollo cabin admitted, and to have him use anything but that was not effective in battle. The blue team had extra armor to help protect them from Naruto's arrows even if they added weight and slowed them down. As the team moved Annabeth was surprised when they were not attacked with arrows but the red team as they charged like they normally would. With their extra armor the blue team was able to better defend themselves, but they were weighed down and having a hard time fighting. Percy fought his was till he made his way near the river. He pants slightly before he steps into the water and feel new energy flowing through him. "About time," Naruto said from his perch on a tree branch. Percy looked up and found his friend sitting on a branch in the moonlight smirking down at him. "Why are you here? I expected you to already have the flag." Naruto shrugged. "Yeah, well, I have way too much energy tonight and I wanted to test myself against you." Percy was surprised at this. "Me? Why not Luke or Clarice?" Naruto pointed at the water, "'Cause you can beat them when you are in water. They may be physically stronger than us, but in a fight it takes more than that. So let's get this show on the road." Naruto then jumped down and charged at Naruto with his weapon drawn. Percy was just able to react and blocked the strike with Riptide. Naruto then jumped back and was on the offensive. Percy was grateful he was standing in water, cause if he wasn't he was sure Naruto would have already beaten him. Though Percy noticed that Naruto seems to be getting faster and faster with every passing second. He pushed Naruto back, but the ninja was flipping in the air and coming at Percy again with even more and force that all Percy could do was defend himself with his shield and sword. In an attempt to force Naruto back, Percy gave a powerful swing which also causes a wave to form and push Naruto away. Naruto jumped into air and landed on a branch with a back flip. Percy was panting hard as he looked up at the silhouette of Naruto against the moon. He could tell his friend was not even winded and Percy did not understand it. It was then while looking harder at his friend did he notice that Naruto's form seemed to be outlined by a silver light. And with every ounce of brain power he had did he figure out what was going on as he glanced at the full moon behind Naruto. The moon, it's acting like the water for me. He must be getting stronger and stronger under light of the full moon. But unlike me he won't lose it if he steps out of the water or get dry. Naruto, how much stronger can you get? Then Percy blinked and lost Naruto. He quickly looked around trying to find him when his instincts were screaming at him to defend, so he raised his shield. Just in time too, as Naruto appeared above him and did a stomping kick onto Percy's shield. Percy's arm shook and hurt a lot, but the water was making the pain go away as Percy pushed his shield against Naruto. The ninja simply jumped off before that happened and slammed his knee into Percy's armored gut. Even with the armor, Percy hunched over gasping for breath. He looked up just in time to see Naruto throw another punch before he was knocked back right onto the bank of the creek. Now he was out water. He felt even more pain as the rush of power the water gave him left. Naruto stood over him, but he was grinning. "Not bad, Percy, a little more training and we will make a hero out of you yet." Percy gasped before he muttered, "Naruto, you are insane." Naruto shrugged. "Being sane is no fun anyways. Too many rules you would have to follow. Being insane means you can throw the rules out the window and make your own." Percy just groaned as the horn was heard signaling the end of the game. Scene change. The red team won again and they were celebrating. Annabeth was glaring at Naruto, but he was unaffected. He was laughing with his teammates while he told them about the fight he had with Percy. Clarice laughed hard hearing Percy get his butt handed to him even in the water. They asked about how he got even faster and had more energy. He simply said he felt it ever since nightfall came, and he glanced up at the full moon. They guess it was a power he gained from his mother. Naruto was walking to the large fire to offer some food to his mother in thanks. As he did so he noticed the same little girl sitting close to the fire tending to it that he usually sees there. He glanced around and no one seemed to have noticed her, so he took a plate of food and sat down next to her. He smiled at her when she glanced his way. "You hungry? It looks like you could use some food." The girl blinked before she smiled at him. "It's alright, I'm fine." Naruto nodded. "Well then, can I ask why are you sitting here alone? Don't you want to join the other?" The girl shook her head. "No, that is not necessary. I don't do good in a crowd anymore." Naruto frowned. "Don't you get lonely?" The girl smiled at him with her eyes closed. "Sometimes, but I found a few people that I can love." She opened her eyes and to Naruto's shock they were like flames. "Your 3 times great-grandfather is one of them, as are you, Naruto." It then clicked for Naruto. "Granny Hestia." The goddess smiled at her descendant. "I was so glad to see you for the first time when you came to camp. I was unable to be there when you were born and it is painful for me to return after my lover and son died. You have grown so much and I am happy to be able to talk to you." Naruto could not help but smile. "Thanks, Granny, that means a lot to me." Hestia nodded and started to tend to the fire. I was worried when I heard you went to find my brother's bolt. I worry about him sometimes, but he is family. Naruto nodded, yeah, no matter what they do, family has to stick together. Hestia smiled, I am glad to have gotten to know you, Naruto. Why don't you join your friends now? You all fought hard and deserve this little victory. Naruto nodded and stood up. Alright Granny, I will talk to you later sometime so you won't seem alone. I will add an extra large bowl of ramen for you as a sacrifice. As he walked away, Hestia gave a small giggle. He is truly one of a kind. You would be proud of him, wouldn't you, Tobirama? Scene change. On the 4th of July, the whole camp gathered at the beach for a fireworks display by Cabin 9. Being Hephaestus's kids, they weren't going to settle for a few lame red, white and blue explosions. They'd anchored a barge offshore and loaded it with rockets the size of Patriot missiles. According to Annabeth, who'd seen the show before, the blasts would be sequenced so tightly they'd look like frames of animation across the sky. Naruto was interesting and asked if he could help and add something for the show. They asked and he said he wanted to show a few legends from his world and maybe show everyone a real ninja battle. The Hephaestus's kids were excited and they quickly taught him what he needed to know. Later that night the three demigods were spreading a picnic blanket. Grover showed up to tell them goodbye. He was dressed in his usual jeans and t-shirt and sneakers, but in the last few weeks he'd started to look older, almost high school age. His goatee had gotten thicker. He'd put on weight. His horns had grown at least an inch, so he now had to wear his Rasta cap all the time to pass as human. I'm off, he said. I just came to say, well, you know. While Annabeth gave him a hug, Naruto asked, so, not even going to enjoy the rest of summer we have? Grover sighed as he shook hands with the blonde. Sorry, but I want to find Pan as soon as possible. At least stay for the fireworks, Naruto said. I work hard and I want you guys to see it. Grover thought about and decided he could stay that long. So where are you heading? Percy asked as he shook the goat boy's hand. Kind of a secret, he said, looking embarrassed. I wish you could come with me, guys, but humans and Pan. We understand, Annabeth said. You got enough tin cans for the trip? Yeah. And you remembered your new reed pipes? Geez, Annabeth, he grumbled. You're like an old mama goat. But he didn't really sound annoyed. The pair gathered with everyone else as the fireworks started to go off. Fireworks exploded to life overhead, Hercules killing the Nemean lion, Artemis chasing the boar, George Washington, who, by the way, was a son of Athena, crossing the Delaware. Their couple of 100-foot-tall Spartan warriors who would crackle to life above the ocean, fight a battle, then explode into a million colors. Then Naruto's work came to life. The half-bloods makes their excitement known as the large red monster appeared in the sky. The great nine-tailed fox roared in its forest environment below it as ninjas jumped around as they started to do battle with the beast. Annabeth turned to him, what is that, Naruto? Naruto stared up at the bane of his existence and prayed that he could get through this and that they would not hate him. He could not keep this a secret here forever. That is the nine-tailed fox, one of the strongest monsters in my world. He is able to shatter mountain and create tsunamis with a single swish of its tails. From what my mother and the others have said, its power rivals that of Typhon. They are not sure who would win in a battle between them. The group was shocked that such a beast exists. Naruto then went on the day of my birth the fox attacked my home village. It caused death, destruction and chaos. Did the gods stop it? One Hermes camper asked. Naruto shook his head, no, not the gods, but a man. More fireworks went off and the group watched as the chef of the toads appeared with someone riding him. The two beasts jumped into action as Naruto went on. The fourth Hokage, my father, was able to stop the beast's rampage. He was unable to kill it but he sealed it away. The fireworks then sparked out as Naruto could not add more to the image as he was not there to see it for himself. Annabeth then asked, where was it sealed? Naruto was quiet for a minute before he answered, inside me. There were gasps all around him as Naruto went on, my dad sealed the beast inside me to protect the village. As long as it is inside of me it cannot escape and hurt anyone again. My dad's final wish is that I would be seen as a hero. I just wished it turned out that way. Everyone was quiet before Grover broke the silence. You are a hero, Naruto. You are no different than before you told us about this. You keep such a strong monster locked away from everyone to keep them safe. I'm not sure anyone else I know could have done the same thing. Percy and Annabeth nodded as Clarice slapped his back. What, you think something like this will make us see you any different? If anything, you are even more badass than before. The other campers shouted their words of agreement and Naruto could not help but have a tear fall from his eyes. "Thank you, everyone." He then wiped them away before he grinned at them all. "So who wants to see a real ninja battle?" The whole camp cheered as the final fireworks went off. It showed Team 7 standing around a tree with Naruto crouched down holding a bunny. Then others blinked and Naruto then said, "Wait for it." Then to everyone's shock they all hit the ground as a giant sword came spinning like a death saw over their heads and slammed into a tree. A figure then landed on the outstretched handle. The group stared at the strong and scary-looking man. Clarice focused on the sword. "Now that's a hell of a blade. I got to get me one like that," she muttered. Naruto heard her and could not help but chuckle at her. "Who's that Naruto?" Luke asked. Naruto grinned. "His name is Zabuza Momochi, he is known as the Demon of the Hidden Mist." The group shivered at that nickname for a scary man as he ripped the sword out of the tree and disappeared into the river. Then he formed a sign and everything could all fuzzy. "What's going on?" Percy asked. Zabuza used the Hidden Mist Jutsu. A special jutsu that makes a mist so no one can see anything in it. But the problem here is that Zabuza is a master at the silent killing style. It's a style that lets you kill your opponent while you are hidden and they would not even know it until it is too late. The others shivered thinking of a monster with that kind of power. Then the fuzz/mist cleared and they found the team and Tazuna all ready. But Zabuza was crouched down in between the genin. The camp was shocked. "You did not even know he was there?" Annabeth asked scared for her friend. Naruto shook his head. "No one did till he taunted us and attacked. And then the attack happens." Zabuza swung his blade and the genin got out of the way and Kakashi appeared and stabbed Zabuza. They were all sighed in relief seeing it was over but shocked when Zabuza burst apart and another one appeared behind Kakashi. They screamed as he was cut in half but he also burst like the Zabuza before him and Kakashi appeared behind Zabuza with a kunai at his neck. "What happened?" one camper asked trying to make sense of everything. Naruto explained the Zabuza that attacked us was a water clone so when Kakashi-sensei killed it he burst into water. Zabuza appeared behind Kakashi-sensei to kill him but he was also a water clone. Annabeth blinked, "So it is like your shadow clone but with water?" Naruto nodded and the scene went on. To everyone's shock Zabuza burst again as another one appeared behind Kakashi. Kakashi ducked under the attack but Zabuza kept swinging till the blade dug into the ground. Using it as a brace Zabuza spun around and kicked Kakashi in the face. Kakashi was knocked back until he escaped into the water. But Zabuza appeared behind him. Then Kakashi was trapped in a spear of what they guess was water. As Zabuza made another water clone Naruto said, with Kakashi-sensei trapped he had to choose from fighting and freeing him or try and escape with the client. "We knew that Kakashi-sensei would die if we left him and we also remembered his most important lesson. Those who break the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades and friend are worse than that, so we came up with a plan to free Kakashi-sensei." They looked up as Naruto getting knocked around with his shadow clones by the water clone. "Looks like you were getting your ass handed to you," Luke pointed out. Naruto grinned. "Yeah, at that point I was, but my plan is starting now." They watched as Sasuke, from what Naruto told them, unfolded a larger shuriken and threw it. But it was not aimed at the water clone but the real Zabuza. But to their shock Zabuza caught it. But it was not over as another giant shuriken was in the shadow of the first. When they campers thought they had Zabuza they all groaned when he jumped over the blades of death while still holding the prison. "Ah, come on!" Percy cried at the unfairness. Naruto just smirked. "It's not over yet." They watched and were surprised when the shuriken that passed Zabuza poofed and became Naruto. They cheered as Naruto threw some kunai and Zabuza and he jumped away releasing Kakashi. "Shame you did not get him," Clarice mumbled. "I wasn't aiming to hit him but to free Kakashi-sensei. I knew he was the only one that could fight him on even ground." They watched as the two adult ninja fought on top of the water. They formed a long string of hands side and everyone gasped as two serpent-like dragons appeared behind the ninja and clashed against each other. Percy watched the fight in awe. "So this is a ninja battle. Man, I wish I could do something like that with water." The water dragons died down and the two ninja started all over again with the hand signs. But Kakashi finished first and made a blast of spinning water appear and clashed into Zabuza. The camp cheered as Zabuza slammed into a tree before he was pinned with kunai. As Kakashi appeared on a higher branch something hit Zabuza and he went limp. They were all confused as another short figure appeared and took the body away. The fireworks then end. What happened? Annabeth asked what everyone wanted to know. Naruto smiled, that is the end of that battle. A hunter Nin appeared and finished Zabuza and took his body away. I'll show you guys the next fight next time. Everyone groaned, but as they walked back to their cabins they were all talking about the battle. Grover then smiled at his friends as he gripped his walking stick and slung a backpack over his shoulder. He looked like any hitchhiker you might see on an American highway, nothing like the small weak-looking boy Percy and Naruto had to defend from bullies at Yansei Academy. Well, he said, wish me luck. He gave Annabeth another hug. He clapped the boys on the shoulder, then headed back through the dunes and out of sight. Scene change. From time to time, Percy would walk past the big house, glance up at the attic windows, and think about the oracle. He tried to convince himself that the prophecy had been fulfilled, but he had some doubt. He did not tell Naruto this as he knew his friend had no care or worry for the prophecy. Hell, he knew Naruto would go on the quest without even hearing a single line if he could. Percy went through the lines and what they meant through his head. You shall go west, and face the god who has turned. They did face the traitorous god even if it happened to be Ares rather than Hades like they all believed. Naruto had the feeling it might not have been him, so Percy thought that was something. The prince of the two worlds shall meet his future and learn of the truth. Naruto told them some of the dreams he had, and after talking to his mom he found out a truth that meant more to him than anything else. Who his parents were and if they loved him. He was happy for Naruto for having that weight lifted from his shoulders. You shall find what was stolen, and see it safe returned. Double check. One master bolt delivered to the big guy himself and one helm of darkness back to Naruto's step-great-grandfather. Man, that was a mouthful even if those are Naruto's words. You shall be betrayed by one who calls you a friend. This was the line that bothered him the most. Ares had pretended to be their friend, then betrayed them all. That must be what the oracle meant. Percy thought, then why was he still having doubts? And you shall fail to save what matters most, in the end. He had failed to save his mom, but only because he let her save herself, and he knew that was the right thing. It still did not explain why he was still uneasy. He wishes he could talk to the others about this, but he felt like he had to figure this out for himself. Scene change. The last night of the summer session came all too quickly. The campers had one last meal together where they burned part of their dinner for the gods. Naruto somehow gotten several large bowls of ramen and made offering to his mother and all his relatives directly linked to him. He even had one made for Hades. When asked he simply said, he doesn't have anyone to make an offering for him, plus he is married to my great-granny, that counts as family. At the bonfire, the senior counselors awarded the end of summer beads. Percy and Naruto got their own leather necklace. Percy was glad the firelight hit his blushing when he saw the bead. The design was black, with a sea-green trident shimmering in the center with a silver crescent moon behind it. The choice was unanimous, Luke announced. This bead commemorates the first son of the sea god at this camp and the first ever son of Artemis, not to mention the quest they undertook into the darkest part of the underworld to stop a war. The entire camp got to their feet and cheered. Even Ares' cabin thought that was more for Naruto than for Percy. Athena's cabin steered Annabeth to the front so she could share in the applause. The day of the end of summer for camp came around and Naruto found a letter on his bed. He knew that Mr. D filled it out because even though the god like him, he still misspelled his name for fun. Dear Namino Yuzuki, if you intend to stay at Camp Half-Blood year-round, you must inform the big house by noon today. If you do not announce your intentions, we will assume you have vacated your cabin or died a horrible death. Cleaning harpies will begin work at sundown. They will be authorized to eat any unregistered campers. All personal articles left behind will be incinerated in the lava pit. Have a nice day. Mr. D, Dionysus, Camp Director, Olympian Council Number 12. Naruto could not help but gain a deadpan look. Makes him wonder if that was just Mr. D's rules or the camp rules. He was leaning towards the former. He'd given it much thought and he decided that he would leave camp. While he still had the apartment in New York, his mother sent a letter stating it was fully paid for life until he decided he did not want it anymore. He wanted to explore the rest of the country. The brief look he got while on the quest made him want to see even more. Plus with any luck he might even get to cross path with his mother. Naruto stepped outside and looked around. The campgrounds were mostly deserted, shimmering in the August heat. All the campers were in their cabins packing up, or running around with brooms and mops, getting ready for final inspection. Argus was helping some of the Aphrodite kids haul their Gucci suitcases and makeup kits over the hill, where the camp's shuttle bus would be waiting to take them to the airport. He then heard something then, a whispering just like the night they left camp, and was warned about the hellhounds. He did not like it, so he followed the whispers till he came upon a scene that stunned him. Percy was on the ground with a scorpion crawling up his leg. Luke was over him gloating. Naruto did not make his presence known as he armed his hunter's moon with an arrow. He listened in on what they were saying. "You're being used, Luke. You and Ares both. Don't listen to Kronos. I've been used." Luke's voice turned shrill. "Look at yourself. What has your dad ever done for you? Kronos will rise. You've only delayed his plans. He will cast the Olympians into Tartarus and drive humanity back to their caves. All except the strongest, the ones who serve him. Call off the bug," Percy challenged. "If you're so strong, fight me yourself." Luke smiled. "Nice try, Percy. But I'm not Ares. You can't bait me. My lord is waiting, and he's got plenty of quests for me to undertake." "Luke, goodbye, Percy. There is a new golden age coming. You won't be part of it." The scorpion lunged, only to be hit with an arrow and pinned into a tree. Both of them turned and found Naruto there with his weapons drawn. Luke glared. "Naruto, I did not expect to see you here. But you won't change anything." Naruto just shook his head. "I don't know your reason for doing this, Luke, and I don't care. You attack my friends and I will make you pay." Luke held a hand out to him. "The gods have caused more harm to the children here than any other monster. They do not care, none of them do. You have been alone for so long, and now your mother is back into your life like it never happened. Don't you want her to pay to leaving you? For all the gods who abandoned everyone?" Naruto closed his eyes and shook his head. "You're a fool, Luke. Say what you want, by they mean nothing to me. I have been alone, and now I got a family that loves me deeply. I am not going to throw that away because you have some issues. The gods are unfair, but this is not the way." Luke sneered. "What do you know? You know nothing about our pain." Luke flinched at Naruto's glare. "I know pain, deeper than you can imagine. You may think you were abandoned, but you were also loved. You had your friends and loved ones with you. You cannot know the pain it is to be truly alone. You think you are strong. True strength comes from the will to protect those dear to you. What strength you think you got is nothing but false promises, Luke." Luke glared when Percy, who was standing up, fell to his knees holding his hand. It had a small welt which started to look bad. It seemed that the scorpion had nicked him when it was hit, and the poison was now affecting Percy. Luke saw his chance and slashed his sword in an arc and disappeared in a ripple of darkness. Naruto ran over and checked the sweating Percy. The red welt on his palm got bigger, oozing and smoking with yellow guck. Naruto acted fast and pulled Percy into the creek, but nothing seemed to happen. The poison was too strong. He cursed again and got Percy onto his back and ran for help. Scene change. Naruto sat down on the porch of the big house. It was dusk. The camp looked completely deserted. The cabins were dark and the volleyball pit silent. No canoes cut the surface of the lake. Beyond the woods and the strawberry fields, the Long Island Sound glittered in the last light of the sun. A little bit ago he watched Annabeth and Percy walk up the hill and join their families. Annabeth gave her father an awkward hug and looked back at the valley one last time. She touched Talia's pine tree, then allowed herself to be led over the crest and into the mortal world. Percy's mother greeted Naruto and gave him a hug. She thanks him for helping Percy and protecting him. Naruto blushed and promised to visit them sometime during the summer. He waved it goodbye at them as he gathered his gear and ready to spend on last night with Talia before he sets out to explore the world more. He knew the new about Luke will be tough on her, but he hoped he would be able to comfort her. He smiled as he looked out at the mortal world. So many places to see, I can't wait to see it all. Oh, make rivalry burns even stronger than ever. Naruto and his group held their weapons and waited for the game to start. Ready, guys? The crew nodded, which included the Stroll brothers Luke, Charles Beckendorf, Clarice and some of the other campers as well. We got this, Naruto, Charles said, giving his leader a grin. Naruto nodded as the game started. As they went off, remember, I don't know who we are fighting, but don't underestimate them. Luke snorted. Relax, Naruto, we got. Bang! Blood spluttered as Luke was shot in the head. Sniper. Naruto cried as he took cover and the gunfight went underway. What are they doing? Annabeth asked Percy, who was watching everyone. Naruto and the ones mentioned were all playing Call of Duty on the Xbox 360 online. Charles made special glasses that acted as their own TVs while hacking the Xbox so everyone was connected. They had one bug TV so other campers could watch what they were doing. Percy glanced at Annabeth. I saw losing to this other team. They like to use snipers and knives, it seems. Naruto then screamed frustrated as he was also killed with a head shot by the leader of the other team. God damn it. How can that guy get so many headshots so fast? He glared at the main screen. Who the hell is Moon Lover number 1? Scene change. I got to say mistress, I was not so sure, but they seem to be liking Auntie K's gift. One hunter of Artemis said to the goddess herself. Artemis nodded as she watched a group of her hunters, including Zoe, playing the chapter Xbox 360. One of her older hunter got for the group to relax a little. The hunter were not too happy to have some mule-player games with guys as the players, but they found the fact they can kill men in many different ways very satisfying. I agree, I think Zoe has adapted the most. The second in command of the hunters then cried out as she made another kill. Boom. Headshot. That's it for part 7. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.